Welcome everyone to the Adobe stage here at Photokina 2016. This is our last session for today, our meet and greet. And I would like to introduce the top artist stock contributors that are beside me. We start with Arne Trautmann, top contributor, 9 years already stock.
In the 10th year.
In
so
the 10th
it's
year
approaching 10 in a way.
Okay. And Lasse Behnke, as well, top contributor, Photoshop artist, retoucher, instructor.
Yes.
A lot of titles.
Yeah, thank you.
Also around 5 years, I believe.
7, I think.
Okay.
Now, yeah.
Okay. And I'm Idan Ngelkenbaum, content development manager from the Adobe Stock team. So to start this session, in order to give our audience more insight and information how it is really to be a stock contributor, a very simple question for you, Arne, because I know you have a very special story for us. How did you become a stock contributor?
As a lawyer. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I'm a lawyer specializing in IP and media and copyright law.
Mm-hmm.
And in the... I didn't take any pictures, I should say. I was not touched by photography.
Mm-hmm.
But in the mid of the 2000s, there were these clients seeking my advice, and they had stock agencies.
Yeah.
It was a big thing in the mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And they came to me and asked me, okay, how does it work on the legal side? Do we need terms and conditions? Is there any compliance issue that we should look after? Is there anything we should need to know in order what to take, to accept, not to accept, any precautions we should take? And the point is, if you're an attorney and you have to answer these kind of questions, you have to understand what the clients are doing.
Yes.
And as an attorney, you know, what you do is probably same thing like a photographer, classic photographer. You sell your time. And every hour you can only sell once, unless you're a magician. I mean, there are people who manage to build 27 hours a day. I don't know how to do it. So it is kind of interesting to see this business where you create an asset, and it's art, it's fun to do, which is very important. And then that asset can be sold like 10 or 100 or 1,000 or whatever, how many
It's
times.
working for you.
It's working for you.
So even when you are on vacation,
or
it's
if
working
you
for
are working with your clients, on vacation, whatever you do, or do a job as a photographer.
Yeah.
So I went out and bought a camera, and it was a tremendous amount of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it started as a business case, and then became kind of a lifestyle, and it's very interesting. So that's how I got into that business.
Okay. Interesting. Lasse, what about you?
That was in 2009 when I was in my training as a media designer in Bremen in an advertising agency, and part of my job was to search for pictures for client projects, and one day I decided to try it by myself, and it worked out fine. And in 2011 I was able to go full time with my stock photography, and today I sit here and have sold some licenses, and
Okay, perfect. I forgot to mention that we're gonna have some time at the end of the session for questions. So please think if you have anything that you would like to ask this top artist, and we will have a Q&A session towards the end. So one of the main questions that I get from contributors that I speak to them on a daily basis is, what should I shoot? What should I photograph? What should I produce? So maybe you can share with us, how do you do your research? How do you plan your shooting? What do you do on the shooting day that make your work, your whole workflow seamless and much easier?
Oh, that's a lot of questions. Let's start with the first one.
Sure.
What to shoot? What to shoot? There's an overarching answer, and there's a more detailed answer. The first answer is you can basically shoot a lot of things, pretty much everything, because the market is global. There's a demand for most anything.
Yes.
It's hard to think of anything that is not in demand at all.
Yeah.
However, if of course your aim is to achieve certain numbers you want to sell, it makes perfect sense to be inspired by what you see And not just in the stock world, but you go out and you watch TV, you watch movies, you get to the newsstands and have a look into the magazines. You walk around and look for the advertisements or advertisements if you're American.
Yeah.
No, the other way around. Anyway, and be inspired on what people could need. Basically, what you see is what somebody else created or thought. And of course, you don't do the same thing, but the concept is obviously something that works, and you should be inspired by that.
So you are inspired basically from what's around us on a daily basis.
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah? I mean, you have to walk around with open eyes through the world and be inspired by what's around you.
Follow trend as well.
Everything.
Yeah.
You can Google on, can you Google on Instagram? No. You surf on Instagram, whatever.
Instagram it.
Whatever you do, you can do that and be inspired by that. Yeah, why not? I mean, every trend is interesting, and then again, you shouldn't copy it. You should just be inspired by it. Probably there's something in this thing, in this movement, and you take out the essence and you make it work in your very own way, in your very own style. I very much say be yourself. Yeah. But of course, be open for influence. That's very important, I think. It's probably maybe the most important thing.
So I know that you have been working all around the world, right?
Yeah, well, all around is
in different parts of the world. Different parts of the world.
Yes, sir.
And and you have been focusing also on the Asian market, for example. So you've done a lot of research to see what are the demands in the Asian market, which is very important to do to know the market that you are working in. Who are your buyers? Who is looking for your images?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a bit. I would like us to take an image from the portfolio,
sure.
And if you can tell us more or less how did you produce that image? How did you find the models? How did you research regarding the props that you used in the image?
Yes.
So, 1 second. Whoop. So let's say this image.
Well played, well played. That is a very interesting example. That is, I hope you can all see it. This is two Chinese steel workers, and they are sitting at a very huge plasma cutter in a big factory. You can see it a bit. I mean, it's blurred in the background, but you can see it's pretty huge. And it's shot through the machine, through the tool. And that's basically the idea. Why is it working? It's a picture that sells very well, I should say. Why is it working? First of all, in these economies that are still developing, there is a great amount of pride. So people are really proud of their country. They are proud of themselves as a people. We can make this country work. We can make this country great. The worker, the teacher, the nurse, the doctor, we are working together for a better future, for a better life. It's no way as saturated as it is here. And this is why these pictures that show a certain industrialization, pride in work, are working incredibly well. You have to know that to make these kinds of pictures. And the second thing is...
So just to stop for
yes,
1 second. So you really take the time to research the culture that you are photographing for, that you are producing for.
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary. For example, in many Asian markets, if you do beauty shots, for example, very often they would look for Caucasian models because for that it's exotic from an Asian perspective. And so if you do the same beauty shot with a Chinese model, maybe you're more focusing to European market because it's exotic there. Yeah. But this is very much focused towards the domestic Asian Chinese market, which is a huge market. I mean, it's pretty big. Yeah. So much larger than Europe, for example, or even Europe and America combined.
Okay. Well, interesting. Yeah. So, Lasse, I would like to take also one image from your portfolio, and maybe if you can tell us more about it. So when so you're compositing images, right? So how do you start to work on an image? So some of your images are photography that you're shooting by yourself. In this case, you are part of the image.
Yeah.
And where do you find your inspiration as well? And how do you combine everything until you get to the final?
Yeah, how do I get my inspiration? I follow a lot of artists and photographers on on a lot of platforms, on Instagram, on Facebook, and yeah, I don't know where I get the idea for this image. And sometimes the idea just pops out in my head, and then I have to create the image. In this image, I photographed myself in my studio at home in front of a gray background, and I didn't sit on this seat. I just sat on a normal chair and found this seat in an old factory where I made a shooting, and pretty loud.
Yeah.
The ocean, for example, I shot on a holiday. I was at the Maldives. That was great. Great beaches, and I think the sky in the background is photographed from my flat in Bremen. So there are a lot of photos coming together in the final result, and yeah.
So all the elements that are in the image are produced by you?
Yes, most of the time. Not in every image. Sometimes when I hear that one of my friends or my relatives makes a journey to a nice scenic country or place, then I give them one of my cameras to take with them, and so they make some photos for me on their journey, and so I get new backgrounds and stuff that I can use in my image. So I'm always try to make my database of images bigger so that I'm able to produce every idea I have in my mind. So yeah.
And tell us a bit more maybe about your workflow. So when you have the idea, you know what you want to produce.
Yeah.
You see it in your head in a way, you sketch it, how?
I'm not the kind of guy who draws or sketches a lot. I just to try to bring the image out of my head into my computer and into my Photoshop. That's how it works most of the time. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. And regarding working with models.
Yeah.
So we saw the last image that it was you, so there is no problem with that. But how do you find models? How do you direct them? Because this is also a major issue for people that are going into stock. How am I going to find people to photograph?
Most of the models in my pictures are people who are related to me, friends of friends, or relatives, or that's how I find them. I check out what are their interests, what are their hobbies, are they good at something, and then I ask them if they want some photos, and it's often that way that they are maybe their hobby is to skate or to and then I try if they then I ask them if they want some skateboarding photos of themselves, and most of the time they want, and
so you are basically reaching out to the people that are around you, your friends, family, people that you know.
Exactly, yeah.
See if they would like to participate in the shootings. And Arne, regarding your productions, which are, let's say, larger regarding the amount of models that are in there. How do you find the models? How do you make sure that, for example, this image, right? So when working with models, you need to make sure that this would look like a real family.
Yeah.
So if we compare it new stock to old stock, we're talking about authenticity, which is very important, that the images need to convey a certain emotion, it needs to be real. So how do you work with the models to achieve that?
Well, in this very case, it's not a family. It's not a real family.
It's not a real family.
But they know each other very well. So these are not a family, but they are friends. The pregnant girl has been working for me as a model for the last 8 years or so. She knows as well the guy as well as the mother of the kid. So even though they're not a family, they know each other and they work. They're all very social people. They've been shooting together for numerous times, so they just work together. You know, it's a chemistry that works between them. But you can have a bad family that's a real family, and you can have good people who are very nice family without being one.
Yes.
So that's the thing here. Basically, you have to bring people together that just work together. And it's a dark art, of course, to find out who works together. But you develop kind of a feeling out there that could work well. And yeah, you have to do that.
Yeah.
Develop some skills in that regard in the years that you do that. Yeah.
And usually do you find, do you work with professional models or also people that you know and you reach out to them, ask them if they would like to take part?
It's mostly not professional models
Okay.
because most of the stock that I do, I mean, this is not fashion or beauty stock. Yeah, this is it's all kind of real life.
Yeah.
So professional models maybe would even blow it because this is not about having some posture or looking like super nice or super sexy. It's about being real, being authentic. That's a very good model here. This one.
This one?
Yeah, this one is really, really good. That's me.
Oh yeah.
Taken
Look at you.
taken by my by my makeup artist, and I look weird. And the topic is, by the way, I don't know whether you recognize it, Gay Oktoberfest. Yeah. Sorry. It's a big topic actually. No. It's not necessarily a professional model. It's just people who work in the context. It's especially interesting or especially important if you work, say, in professions, in trade, in crafts. Then you want to have people who actually can do what you want to shoot.
Yeah.
It's not about being a model. It's about being authentically able to do what's required in the picture. And that is again one of the skills that you have to develop over time to find out who would work, in which situation, with which tools, in which setting, and then make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is also very important, if we're talking about this image of the dentist.
Yeah.
So it's very important, and we were talking about keep it authentic as possible, that a dentist, for example, will use the right gloves, so they will use the right tools. Because there are many images in stock of a beautician, but she doesn't use gloves.
Yeah.
This is something that this image will not be sold because it's not authentic enough.
Cannot be used.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing that. And basically, you're wasting time. Stock is the art of bringing together the right people with the right props, with the right lighting equipment at the right spot at the right time to make the right things.
Yeah.
So it's logistics, and if one of these things is being blown, the whole thing blows.
Yeah.
That's just the point. So it's always a matter of preparation. You have to prepare really well.
So talking about preparation, when you go out, you start your day, you're going on a shooting day, how do you prepare for that? Do you have a shooting script, a shooting plan? You know exactly what you want to do at each time of the day? You have 4 or 5 sessions planned for that day? How do you plan that?
Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, in that order. So yes, there is, I call it a script.
Yeah.
Other people would call it different names, I don't know. For me, it's a script. And it's a mixture of a lot of functions. There would be, of course, some logistical part. Where do we meet? When do we meet? What do the models have to bring? What do I have to bring? There would be a prop list.
So you share it with all the crew,
yes,
with the models, with your assistants, and
with the makeup artists. Yes, so everybody should know what they expect.
Exactly.
And you don't share it at the morning of the shoot. You share it a week in advance because you want input from them as well. And make sure you give it to the location owner if you shoot at location as well, so that they know what to expect. Maybe they have some inputs. Very important.
Yeah.
It should be basically sitting in the back of your mind a week in advance. Otherwise, it wouldn't really work. And yes, there would be a second part in that script, and that would be kind of a mood board.
Yeah.
It would not necessarily be like a perfect script, and this is, we start here, then we do this picture, and this picture. And how could you do that? I mean, you want to shoot pictures, so you don't have them yet, so what do you put in there? But you would have some examples, something that you found on the web, something you scan, something you draw, or maybe it's just the text.
To visualize.
Yes.
To give the models, the crew, an idea of what's going to happen.
And yourself.
And yourself as well.
You don't want to be in a situation where you are at the set and then you run out of ideas. It's very bad for everybody because everybody's like, you're kind of leader of the pack. And if you stutter, everybody else stutters as well.
Yeah.
So, and it's good to have a script and look like, okay, this is what we wanted to do. So maybe we continue with this. It's always good to have that. And typically, the script is like enough for 2 days of shoot. You never manage to shoot everything that's in the script.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because you always have a backup plan.
Yes.
Very important. Yeah.
And Arne, you recently joined as Adobe Stock Premium.
Thank you for that.
And we've been discussing the images and talking about the images and the account for a long time. Maybe you can tell us a bit, producing to micro, producing to premium.
Yeah.
What is the difference there from your perspective? Is it the attention to details, to the light, to the retouching? From your experience.
There's a lot of differences, actually. More than I thought. I should really say, at the beginning, I was a bit overwhelmed by the differences, because I thought, okay, this is the same thing, maybe a bit more authentic. But it's not true. Of course, there is more authenticity in these pictures.
Yeah.
And that's not just in the shooting process, also in the retouching process. That's basically the thing where you start. So this is only real people. It's only shot at real locations.
Yeah.
There's nothing shot in a studio or anywhere, or something that is one thing and you take it as another thing. Yeah, like shooting doctors in a business location that used to be very popular. It doesn't work in premium. Those people know what they do, and you make sure that they are not aware of the shooting process. So there's a lot more entertainment, I call it. In the beginning, you socialize with them, you make them feel very well, very secure, and then you start the shooting only after a certain time, so they don't even know any longer that they are being shot. And in terms of technique, it's typically, there's almost no flashlight in here. Almost all of these pictures, with 1 or 2 exceptions, I believe, are being shot with available light only, which is incredibly demanding, I found out. I thought it should be easier, but it's not. It's very difficult to do that. There is a very different approach when shooting the pictures. You try to avoid everything that could look cheesy. I'm not saying cheesy is bad. Cheesy works for a lot of classical stock
Cheesy
pictures.
sells sometimes.
It will not go away. I heard this sentence here on the stage: cheesy, we are beyond cheesy. It no longer sells. It's not true.
Yeah.
It's here to stay. But we have to transcend it. There is a world beyond cheesiness opening, and you have to make sure that this is not cheesy.
Yeah.
And it's very important. And yes, 2 more things maybe. Yes. Attention to detail, and the most important thing, I believe, is, and may I say that you told me that it's important, so honor to you, honor to whom honors due. It is about telling a story.
Yeah.
In classical stock, what you often do is you take a picture, and with that one picture you want to tell everything, the whole story. You want to put it in one picture because you want this very picture to sell like 10,000 times. And that doesn't work for this kind of imagery, and it's not. The idea is not to sell it 1,000 times. What you want to do is you want to tell the whole story from the beginning to the end.
Create a narrative.
Yeah, create a narrative. So almost work a bit like a journalist, like a reportage, like going there and really spending a day with these people from the beginning to the end. From them entering the plant to them leaving the plant with the siren is going off at the end of the day. So that's a very different approach. It's dramatically different from microstock, and it's exhausting. I should say it's really demanding.
It's a lot of work.
Yes, it's hard to shoot. Perfectly hard to shoot. I was at the end of such a shoot. I just fall to bed. I close my eyes and I'm already dreaming, and I sleep for 10 hours straight.
Okay. So, Lasse, I would like to ask you, because I was at your talk before on the other stage.
Yes.
And you were talking about the time when you started doing stock.
Yeah.
And comparing to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, what do you think about old stock and new stock, what we're seeing now? The difference between it, from the, let's call it the basic woman thumbs up on a white background.
So
and
in general.
Yeah, and the really artistic, high-end work that is happening right now with a lot of new talent coming into stock.
Yeah, I think the image stock had in 2009, for example, was more like there are a lot of things cut off or in front of, like the apple in front of a white wall, and that was that was what stock was used to be, and now you see the images from Arne, these kind of storytelling and authentic images, and I think that is kind of a new image which stock now is, which Adobe tries to create, or which stock hopefully becomes one day, and it has got a lot more professional and a lot more specific, and
and we do see a lot of talent coming into stock.
Of course, yeah.
And Arne, you've been around in stock for a long time.
Yeah.
How is it for you now, comparing when you just started? Production value is going up. You're producing more, of course. Also, visually, probably the style has changed.
Yeah, a lot of, you have to change. I mean, then again, this is my 10th year, and thank God it's still going strong. But if you want to stay in this game for a decade, which it now is approaching to, yes, of course, you have to change with the industry. The industry is changing, and you either have to change along, or you will perish. So if you can't stay open, probably I mean, you can find a niche, don't get me wrong. I mean, there are niches, of course, people found their niche, and it works for them. But I have a big collection, so I cannot stay just in a niche. So I have to change along. It's a good thing, because it keeps me open as well. And it's actually fun to do. I should really say it sounds like stress, but it's not true. It's fun to do. It's fun to see how trends evolve. And also, it's always kind of intellectually challenging. How did they do that? And then you try to reverse engineer what that is, how you can create this look, and how you can make it work in your own style, because you have to stay yourself. You cannot copy. You have to keep your trademark look and your trademark things. But you have, nevertheless, to work with what you've got these days. And it's immensely challenging, and it's immensely fun. It's really, really rewarding, I should say. It's probably the best job in the world, because it always changes. There's no such thing as routine. It's simply not there. So new people, new places, new styles, fun.
Great. So my next question will be, what are the opportunities that stock has opened for you, for both of you? So you've traveled around the world, you give speeches in different trade shows, you probably meet a lot of new people, different artists. Maybe you can tell us a bit about it.
As you said, the opportunity to sit here now is one of the opportunities stock opened for me. But I think the greatest opportunity which stock has opened for me was to be free in my type of work, to be free with my creativity, to make one topic on one day and then shot another topic on another day, and that is for me just the freedom to have. That is so great, and that's what it makes for me the best job in the world, and that's what I like most. And
he took the words right out of my mouth. No, it's true. I can perfectly say the same thing. One addition, maybe. Probably it's true for you as well. But I experience it in a very exciting way, I should say. You meet people from all walks of life. And the point is, I'm an attorney by training, and attorneys, all your friends are attorneys as well. They think like you, they look like you, all these kind of things. It's a professional defamation thing that you meet the same kind of people all over. If you're lucky, their spouses are doctors or teachers. But then that's already like hitting the jackpot. So meeting somebody who is not a lawyer or a judge. Now, true. Now, if you do the stock photography, you have to, whether you want to or not, you meet people from everywhere. Kids. My oldest model was 94. She's dead by now, I should say, which is really sad because she was a great model. But I shot her when she was 94. And we had fun together. Old lady, wonderful. You meet, of course, Asian people, European people, obviously. You meet people of all ethnicities, black, white, Chinese, Indian, you name it. You meet people, teachers, police people, firefighters, of course, attorneys. You meet them in stock as well. All kinds of outlooks on life, all kinds of position in life, all kinds of lifestyles they lead. Very different, very diverse people. And of course, you interact with them, you talk with them. So it's not only a liberating experience, it's also very enriching your life. The Americans will probably say you can grow as a person. is it an American term, yeah? Which I'm not really sure what it means, but probably it means that.
Yeah.
This kind
Develop
of thing.
yourself.
Yeah, develop yourself and opening up.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. Stock is a tool for that, and it's fun, and it gives you an income on top of this experience. I mean, how good can life get? Tell me. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So we still have some time, but maybe we open up the floor for some questions from the audience here. So if anyone has a question, please raise your hand.
Or just shout in.
Oh, yeah, just.
No.
Oh.
How do you pay the models? Do they share in the profit, or do you pay them in front?
Me or you?
As I work with friends, I pay them with photos, and yeah, that's how it works.
So TFP, time for
Yes.
print. Okay.
I have a different approach. They are both. I mean, if you don't work with friends, obviously that's the best thing. If you don't have the chance to work with friends, both of these models that you mentioned, give them a percentage or pay them a flat fee, do exist, and both work and are accepted in industry. Here is why I recommend paying a flat fee. It's very difficult sometimes for photographers, especially if you start. It's difficult because you don't know, will you ever make any money with these pictures? So it's very tempting to say, come on, you get a cut. But the point is, it works very well if you do 1 or 2 or 3 shoots, 1 or 2 or 3 models. And it's in a kind, there's an inherent fairness. If it sells a lot, the picture, you get more and I get more as well, so it doesn't hurt me. If it doesn't sell, we both get nothing, but at least it doesn't hurt me. But at the moment that your collection starts to grow and you have more and more models in the collection and more pictures you have to track, it all becomes very difficult in terms of administration. I do have 3,000 model releases online, so 3,000 different people with 25,000 pictures. Tracking that, I mean, you know, picture-wise or even series-wise, is all but impossible. I did that for 2 years, and then I really did a buyout. I offered all the models a buyout, and I paid lots of money just to get this administration off my back, because I spent 2 days every quarter, 2 full days every quarter, just doing this very thing. And I really, really recommend against it. Maybe do it 1 or 2 times to find out at the beginning, but don't make it your model. I don't, unless, of course, again, you have an assistant and you have to keep her or him busy. Then that's okay. Yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions from our audience?
Könnt auch auf Deutsch fragen.
Ja, Deutsch ist okay.
German as well?
Ja. Russisch? Maruski? Wolgarski?
Okay.
Noch ein? Und da ist noch einer.
Oh, another one.
Another question, yes. Do the photos with the models sell better than photos without models? What category?
So,
I have no experience with professional models, so I can say nothing about it. Maybe Arne.
maybe I can answer that.
Yeah, probably
briefly, and then
you
maybe
have
you
an
can-
agency
you can-
perspective. It's much
Exactly.
better from
So,
that perspective.
I can say that images with models are more popular than images without models, because you can think of it in kind of 2 ways. You have the packshot image, the image with the objects that people can use for so-and-so projects, and then you have people images, right? And those usually are more popular because they're more descriptive, so people can use them for a bigger variety of projects. And also, I think, Arne, from your perspective, the images with the models are selling more.
It's difficult to say because I have
You
very
didn't-
little images. I mean, 98 or so percent,
Are out
99% of
models,
images
actually,
are
yes.
models.
Yeah.
I would think so. I guess so, but then again, there are people who are doing landscapes, which you think, why would they sell?
Yeah.
But they do incredibly well.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of factors going in, so it's very hard to say in general pictures models sell better. I think it's easier to start getting into the market because if you do landscapes or macros or food photography, especially food is maybe, may I? Okay, I have 1 minute. If you do food, for example, think of it. you have to come up with lots of pictures so that they're in the same style, so that they're usable. Because if people use them for a menu card in a restaurant, they need lots of ingredients and lots of different dishes. So unless you have a certain amount of completeness in your collection, the collection is not really worth much. So they can sell incredibly well if you have like 5,000 pictures in the same style, but having one or two of them may not give you much return. And so there's inherent difficulty in that thing. Whereas with one picture, with a model, you can already start selling. So that's maybe...
So that's also a good tip for food photographers.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, they need a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
But then, if they have them and they are well executed and they are the same style and they are complete, damn it, they can take off like
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Other questions? No? Okay. I guess there are no questions. Okay, so we have still a bit of time, and what I would like to do now is to get your feedback as our top contributors on the new contributor site. So what I've done earlier today, this is my Adobe Stock account. I uploaded a couple of images from my last vacation. And so there's a nice sea turtle there, a nice beach there. Yeah, it was a very nice vacation.
Yeah. Turtle is great. I love turtles. I love sea turtles.
Everybody loves sea turtles.
Yeah, why is that? Why is that? I mean, they are turtles, but
and I really want to get your feedback about the auto keywording and how this could be a great tool for newcomers into stock. Would you use it as well? How do you work with keywords? How do you keyword your work? Yeah, so you can see that from the turtle image, we got turtle, sea, water, underwater.
That's the actual result of the artificial intelligence, yeah?
Exactly. So I didn't touch it. This is what I...
It's amazing.
These are the results that I...
This is not scripted. This is not scripted. This is live, yeah? We haven't seen this before. I'm just telling you because maybe you don't believe it.
And I want to show you another thing. So this image, for example. So this is New York, from Brooklyn. City, water, sunset. So it detected the sunset. River.
The colors, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
The color gradient.
River.
Yeah.
So it's not a sea, it's a river, which it actually is.
Yeah.
And boat.
That's amazing.
This one, which is actually a sea, so a beach, a sea, coast, ocean, and landscape.
You know why this is the best example. You know why? Because it has sea and ocean. And this is a typical trap that first-time keyworders would maybe stumble into. Yeah. That I guess it's American, British thing. In Britain is the sea. In America it's more like the ocean. And you tend to forget one of these terms. Yep. And that excludes, I don't know whether there's kind of an auto-enhancement function currently working, but it kind of excludes one part of the pond. Yep. And it's incredibly interesting. So you can't forget it anymore, and it makes perfect sense. You start. Is it ordered by importance?
Yeah, by relevance.
Yeah, and so you want to start with beach. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. And again, people, especially if they used with categories and keywording trees before in Lightroom, for example, they might not get the order right. Yeah, so they might start with something, and then beach would be like the 21st keyword. Makes perfect sense that you have this tool that gives you the most important keyword, which is always beach.
Absolutely, yeah. Right.
Beach is like the killer word.
Yes,
yeah.
Of course.
And even if I want to change it, I can just pick the keyword and change it to get the relevance.
Right.
Yeah. So
sexy. That's very sexy. Really.
To talk a bit more about keywords and Arne, in your work, when you're working a lot with people, how do you usually keyword the images? How do you index the images? Do you think first representative, what do you see in the image, and then go to more conceptual ideas? Do you do it the other way? How do you do it?
Well, actually, I try. There's a two-step process. And typically what I do is I really go like as first which people are in the picture, so man, woman, couple, family, this kind of thing. I start with that. And it's a very complicated process. I mark them with red.
Mhm.
Then I go, what's the point of the image? Like, I don't know, Oktoberfest, Volksfest, whatever, festivity kind of thing, or here like a kitchen catering, yeah, or here dentist, you know, this kind of thing. So the main concept of the image, and then and then basically I go down with everything else, and I end with these so-called auxiliary keywords like male, female, Caucasian. Nobody really includes these keywords as the main keywords, but some may narrow down a search with them, so you want to have them in them even though they're not sexy.
Yes.
So I end with them because they're never important. And then I ask myself, when I have that, and I call it the Steinbruch, the quarrel. When I have that, then I think of what would be the possible search term. Yeah. So for example, woman at dentist having her teeth drilled, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I would woman, dentist, teeth.
Yeah.
I would put these in front. So I would sort those keywords. And then I would put them as IPTC data in the pictures, and then I would upload them. So it's a tedious process, and nobody loves it.
There's a lot of work that is going into it.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and there's 10 years of experience in that amount of work. So it's kind of sexy to have the other sexy, to have these artificial intelligence working on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lasse?
I have nothing to add. He explained it perfectly. So
You do the same way?
yeah, pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense to
Absolutely.
go through that process.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're actually out of time. So I would like to thank both of you.
Thank you.
Arne Trautmann, Lasse Behnke. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching us on the live stream. And yeah, join us tomorrow.
Thank
at
you.
Photokina stage.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.